to work early in the morning. Super Bowl team and now these haters salty.
Everybody, welcome to IE Sports Radio. I'm Niners Jess, along with Ty Alston, Maddie B, your girl Bex, and our special guest for the night, Tony. We are the East Coast Red and Gold. What's going on?
What's up, everybody?
Hey.
Hello. Wednesday.
It is Wednesday, May 1st. Looks like we're about to lose Maddie again. Yeah, so everybody watched the draft?
Yes, indeed.
And what are your initial thoughts, guys? We're gonna do like player by player, but just like general thought. Go ahead, Becca.
Just that, as I said when we had the conversation last week, I don't care how many mock drafts you watch and what you think you know about what the Niners are going to do. It's never, ever, ever that way. Unless we're picking in the top 5, the chances of getting it right are goose egg. It's a crapshoot. They look for specific things, and you can see that in this draft very loud and clear. You know, they moved up for a guy that most people didn't think they should have, or we drafted a skill player. What did we say last week? There's a quality skill player sitting there. We're probably going to take it. Why would we let that slide? And so here we are after the draft, and having exactly those things happen. So yeah, it's never what you think it's going to be. Rarely.
That's very true.
Yeah. I thought it was a very good draft for the 49ers overall. They got quality pieces for the future. Some players I can foresee contributing this season. You know, I thought they picked a lot of guys with experience, a lot of guys who took advantage of that COVID year to stay in school more and hone their craft, which is very good. Players that fit the system, which is always a plus. You don't have to re-engineer what they do and hope it works out. You know, you got an idea that, all right, this guy can play in our system. That's great. And I loved it overall because, as it says in my little description there, mock drafts are not real. And it was funny to see people go nuts after the first round. Like, I had this guy mocked in my draft to go, how could they take a receiver? Mock drafts are not real. And yours is definitely not.
Wrong.
You know, so it was great to see the 49ers had a plan. They stuck with their plan. And we got to trust the process. So I love the draft overall. I thought it was a great one for the team.
I liked it as well. You know, Beto and I did a show, and I had said, you could do 85 mock drafts, but not everybody's gonna, if that player that we pick isn't on your mock draft, like, oh well. I like the receiver pick. We'll get more into it. But yeah, I thought it was really good. You can tell it was an Adam Peters-less draft. Because usually we go for that defensive end, defensive tackle with our first pick, and we didn't. But I definitely liked it. Go ahead, Tony.
You're muted. Unmute yourself.
Speak.
Unmute yourself.
There we go. Okay.
There you go.
So, yeah, I like the draft. It's a little bit different than what we usually see with the 49ers and how they operate. A lot of 5-50-year seniors, guys at age 24 and older, or around 24, 23, 24, more experienced players. It's a different way they operated this year with this draft. And for people to knock the pick of Purcell, it's kind of mind-boggling because if you take him and you really watch him, he's everything Kyle wants in a wide receiver. So I don't understand why Why is there a knock on him? Because he wasn't Leggett, the receiver from South Carolina, the big physical receiver? No, he's not. But Kyle found the guy that he feels comfortable with in his offense. He is a blocker. He's experienced. He's got a great work ethic. He can run routes. He can catch the ball. We all saw that in all the highlight reels. So it's kind of like mind-boggling how people are trashing this pick. But, I mean, it is what it is. Some people just want to speak their minds, and they do it. But you can't knock somebody when you're not the professional, but the professionals are the ones that are doing it. Like, we could sit here and, like Jess said, you could do 85,000 mock drafts, right? who the hell are we? We don't know shit. We don't know what they're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
We could say, well, this is someone that they would like, sure. But the problem is these guys are the pros. They know exactly what they want. And to be impressive, and to be honest with you, it's an impressive list with some of these guys. It really is. So, I mean, I'm really looking forward to dive into it tonight with you guys. And, we'll go through pick by pick and whatever you want to do. And I'm here for it.
Yeah, Maddie.
Thought it was a good draft. They got who they wanted. They seemed genuinely happy after each thing. You can kind of tell that, and if you go through some of the previous drafts, like you could tell they were more relieved than happy. I think if that kind of comes across. I thought in this draft, I thought after each round, round one, like that's the happiest I think I've ever seen them. Like seriously, in recent years. So that tells me that they think they know something that others don't. I find it amazing that all these players got drafted from Florida, and Florida wasn't really that great last year. But Rutgers players used to get drafted all the time, and a lot of them turned out okay. So like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know how this works, but I like the kid from Louisville. Like, to me, that's like one of those deals where somebody bought a brand new car and then all of a sudden moved to a new house with public transit. So it sat in a garage for years, and now they're just selling it because they're done with it. Right.
They turned in their
Like
lease.
that dude runs that MFR runs a 4.33 40-yard dash. What is a dude with a 4.33 yard 40-yard dash who has any concept of being able to run in this system going to be able to do? Oh, wait, we've got guys like Devon Achane who can already show us these abilities, right? Or Raheem Mostert or people like that, right? These guys all copy off of each other all the time. So now all of a sudden you got a little bit of personnel to match that up. Boy, he can come in and he have a few chunk plays, take a little pressure off of Christian McCaffrey, take a little pressure off of Brock Purdy, maybe put a little pressure on Elijah Mitchell. Maybe he does some cool stuff in the kick return game. I'm all for it. You know what I mean? Like I said, they seem. I thought the other kid, Baker. I thought that was another good pick that they did as well. So, they clearly didn't like some of the things that were out there in this draft. Like typically they're really going. There's usually all sorts of defense stuff like that. But I like the kid from Kansas. I like the kid from Kansas. I think that's a really, really good pick. That dude hasn't given up a sack since like before COVID. Like that was a while ago. Like it was a long, like every level he played in, didn't give up sack, didn't give up sack, didn't give up a sack. This dude's in the third round. Like, okay, well, I guess he played for Kansas. I don't think there's any team out there that's more prime to find diamonds in the rough in the post-COVID and the current NIL environment than the San Francisco 49ers. Based on all the things they've done in previous years, based on all the work that they do. And really, it just seems like it's a real core principle. They want guys who love football and want to win, right? That's what they want. And then their skills have to fit that certain model of what they want to do. They're not trying to get someone who doesn't care about the game in here. They're not trying, like, it's, if somebody isn't doing well here, it's typically like, especially draft wise, like it's typically because their body shuts down on them or they're just not, they're not up to snuff. You know what I mean? Like, it seems really in recent years, like every one of these guys would run through a wall if you told them to, if you told them that there was a Six Lombardi on the other side, right? So It just so happens every time we run into that wall, it's made of freaking vibranium or some other shit. I don't know what's going on. But overall, I thought it was a pretty good draft. Like I thought, the trades, I guess if you think you needed to do that stuff, whatever. But, I'll never understand trading up for a running back. But maybe they got intel, right? Maybe somebody's like, hey, that guy fits a full lot of defenses, right? What if Green Bay was looking to draft him? What if, Houston, right? Like I don't know if you guys saw it, but there was in now Washington, you're going to have a lot of these 49er team building clones come up throughout the years.
They're already out there.
And it's just, but they're going to get more and more amplified as you have more of them, and also as others have success, right? Like if Houston takes that next step that they're thinking of this year, like you're going to see a lot more of that too, because people are going to start copying that. So good draft, and hopefully it all pans out, and now hopefully we can get everything else situated and have a drama-free offseason for the most part, really, as opposed to other teams. Like
it probably will not be drama free.
I was gonna say, have you heard of that guy Brandon Ayuk?
Yeah.
See,
have
like
you heard
what?
of the now trade? Well, not the now trade rumors, but the consistent trade rumors of Deebo Samuel
and the Deebo trade. Yeah, everybody's on the block.
All right. Well, before we get to player by player, don't forget to like and subscribe. To us, the East Coast Red and Gold podcast, on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
I don't want to take lemonade, go down the wrong hole. Yeah. I was not expecting that read, so it was like, right, like it kind of gotcha. Kind of one of those deals, but
Matt, I don't see it in the comments, so please tell us about where is the good.
That's good. I'm going to tell you about it in just a second when I can breathe. Okay, good.
Breathe.
Did you know that Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky is an all brisket jerky with gluten-free options, no MSG and no sodium nitrate? I bet you didn't know that. If you did, well, congratulations.
You
can find out more about Planet Jerky at planetjerky.net. It's brisket beef jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. And of course, you can find out more from us at iesportsradio.com/East Coast Red and Gold for all the media that might be social. Okay.
Money's over there doing some gymnastics on his. He looked like he was in outer space and Planet Jerky flipping around.
Yeah.
Planet Jerky is so good.
Sideways.
Yeah, Planet Jerky is so good. Back. Matt gets choked up talking about it. That's how good it is.
Right, it's so good.
So go out and get yourself some.
All right.
Woo.
So
fancy graphics.
Courtesy of Niners Wire. We got the 2024 NFL draft class. Round 1, pick 31. Ricky Pearsall out of Florida, wide receiver. Becca, go ahead.
I mean, I think he surprised all of us. But we did say if we had a quality skill player sitting there right for the pick-in, we probably are going to take that. I didn't see us not doing it. We might trade back a few spots if somebody else wanted to move up for somebody specific. But he seems to have like really quick speed, hands, agility, and a solid blocking kind of guy too. Like, I think they really, if there's one thing that seemed to be a theme throughout, all of these guys are slobber knocking, bully ball playing football guys, right? Like when we get to Renardo, it wasn't at his comments about the 49ers, but Pearsall seems to be, super psyched and ready to rock and roll. I think he's going to be able to come in and probably do the return guy stuff for a while. And, Trent Taylor, we'll see where that lands, but I think he's going to get some shots there, especially with his speed, to see what he can do. But he seems to have really great hands and be a, good blocking wide receiver type. So I think it's a good pick. And again, the draft is a crapshoot always. And we hope this works out, but you see so many first rounders not work out. Wide receiver wise, statistically, fairly low. They all tend to do very well in the NFL. So I'm hoping that carries through for us too. So statistically, he should do well for us.
I think Slick Rick is going to make an immediate impact. I think he lives over the middle, and Brock Purdy likes going over the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just like BA is a good match for Brock. I think Ricky is as well. So at first I was kind of like, but I was able to think about it and I like it.
Yeah.
What about you, Ty?
Yeah, I like the pick as well. We all know that this draft wasn't really for this year. It's for the future.
Yeah.
So at some point, the wide receiver dynamics will change. Not this year, but the future. So you get a guy who fits your system. Not only does he fit your system, he mirrors what your number one wide receiver in Brandon Ayuk does. So it's like, imagine having 2 Ayuks on the field. That would work out pretty darn well now, wouldn't it? That should get a Ricky Pearsall. It's a great pick. I know people were going crazy because he wasn't in their mock drafts. Ooh, shows you what you know. But if you think about it, everyone had like a second round grade on him. Experts said he wouldn't make it out the second round. Since we were picking late, Shanahan went for his guy. He went for a guy he knew that could work in his offense. And what we all say, trust the Shanna plan, right? So there you go. I'm really excited for Ricky, simply because we know the top three receivers, right? Ayuk, Debo, Jennings. But after them, there was kind of a drop off. It's like when one of them left the field, it's like, all right, who's coming in? Who's out there? And what are they going to do? Well, now Ricky should be automatically that number 4 receiver. If someone comes off the field and he goes on, we shouldn't see that much of a drop off. We should see immediate impact. And I know he probably won't do great things this year, but he'll get his feet wet and contribute heavily. So I'm really excited about the pick.
That's the key right there.
Kylie makes a good point. Pearsall is also protection if Debo or JJ have to miss time.
Yes, and that goes to my point of when one of those guys left the field, who's that 4th receiver coming on? And it's like, oh, crap. So now if Debo gets injured and Shanahan just calls a Debo play, well, you got a young kid who can run an end around.
It's not going to JJ, that's for sure.
Instead of Jawan Jennings doing it, right? You know what I mean? If Brandon Ayuk gets injured, all right, we got a good route runner who could play on the outside, on the inside. It just makes sense.
Yeah, a lot of people said that this pick was a reach. Although I think every pick of ours, somebody said it was a reach.
Yeah.
But anyway, go ahead, Maddie.
I think it provides something they've wanted for a while. They've really wanted that dynamic, catch everything, Pac-Man out of the slot sort of guy. And I think the one thing that we're all talking about, we're talking about the pressure that this is going to remove, or maybe, the depth that this is going to create on the wide receiver side of things. This is also going to remove some work from Christian McCaffrey in the passing game, right? He's not going to have to be in the slot, or maybe have to line up in the slot as much as a wide receiver and take some of those plays. Pearsall can run those, right? And then he doesn't have to come out for that 1 or 2 running play, right? He can kind of be in there. There's that's another thing on this. Like, this is all, it's not just going to be the receivers this helps with. This is also going to help with CMC, particularly in the receiving usage. So He seems to have those same sort of catch everything in a phone booth sort of deals. So, like I said, I am specifically going by the reaction they had, and they were very happy to get him, right? Like, I'm sure if they had some sort of deal to move down into round 2 and get him or whatever, they might have. But the way wide receivers were going on that draft, you know, you guys saw what Carolina did, right? Carolina went up and got, Leggett. Everybody just got whoever the hell they wanted, right? This was, if anybody does a fantasy draft, it's like there's a run on wide receivers right now, and if you don't get one, good luck later, right? Like you're going to be out. So if you have a first round grade on a guy, you better get him. Now, did anyone? I know this question was asked, but was Pearsall part of the Magnificent 22 that had first round grades? Did anyone confirm that?
I didn't hear. I don't know. I don't know
I'm
if
not
he's
sure.
a golden helmet guy.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Because I'll be real interested in that. Now, I'm sure we're going to go through some of these other picks, but the one thing that I'm looking at here as I look at the overall view of that, do you see the letter C on a lot of those jerseys? Because I do, and that's some cool stuff to me. That shows you the exact type of people that they're trying to bring in here. So,
That's a good point.
Just the vibe that they're looking at and stuff like that.
I do think they kept that in mind as well. It seems like every one of these conferences with every one of these guys, they're well spoken. They're mentally seemingly prepared and more mature mindsets than some of you see some of these other pressers with kids and the kid in the yellow jacket, talking about shopping at Macy's. You didn't get that kind of press conference out of any of these guys. So I do think the maturity aspect did play a role in their evaluation as well, and making sure they're picking guys who have the right frame of mind. You can't mess up the locker room because you know how toxic that can be.
To answer Sin's question, I think the wide receiver run late in the round started when the Chiefs traded up for Xavier Worthy. That to me was the ultimate moment of, you had Leggett and you had Worthy. We were both named Xavier. But they both, everybody's like, okay, I'm going to shoot my shot with him. And then Buffalo kind of shot their shot too, because they traded down because they wanted Keon Coleman. And Keon Coleman could end up being kind of the A.J. Brown of this draft, based on the way he's set up. And seems like he's kind of the perfect guy for Josh Allen to have. So, this is going to be one of those wide receiver deals where you're going to toss them in a barrel and a bunch are going to shake out and be Pro Bowlers, All Pros, stuff like that. And a bunch are going to just go all over the place. Right. So, maybe they reached on some people, but who knows? It's too different. Honestly, college football is such a different game from the pros, guys.
Of course.
Really out there. I know you guys fall in love with these mock drafts and all these things that you do, and bless you for the content that you put out there, because I end up learning about players that maybe I didn't get to watch or anything like that. But at the end of the day, these are two almost completely different sports, right? Almost as much so as the CFL and the NFL. They have the same amount of downs, but they've got different overtime rules. They get different this, they get different stuff. Yeah. There's different everything, right? So a lot of these guys are having to make this transformation into pro stuff, and some of them just are not be able to do it. Some of them are not going to have the body type that is going to allow them to do it. So at the end of the day, we can fall in love with these mock drafts. We can be stunned that they didn't draft this guy or that guy or this guy or that guy, but they specifically had a plan, and I think things probably went according. I can't imagine anybody got sniped really that they expected to be there at 31, right? I can't imagine that happened. And they grabbed a couple of guys too from Florida State, which had a sneaky good year last year, right? Mm-hmm. And they're going to be pissed off. Why are they pissed off? Yeah, because they got jobbed out of the playoffs, right? Because it's another different planet over there. It's a popularity contest. It's not actually based on what you do on the field. It's a popularity contest and if your quarterback's healthy or not, right? Imagine if the 49ers had gotten voted out of the Super Bowl because Brock Purdy wasn't going to be able to play in 2022, right? Nope, sorry. 49ers can't go. Can't go. We're sending Philly anyway. Sorry.
We took a vote, a straw poll, and you're
right.
out.
We took a vote, and it's just better for everyone if you stay the hell home. Okay? So thank you. Although we do appreciate the attempt to bring Phillip Rivers in to start a quarterback in that game, and it happened. Those two guys are going to have chips on their shoulder.
All right, Tony. Do we have you with us?
Unmute yourself. Oh,
Guess not.
so much for that.
And he's gone.
And
Can't unmute yourself if you're not here.
And okay, so let's move on to round 2, pick 64, Renardo Green, Florida State cornerback. Becca?
Yeah, I think this is the kid who, in his own, when you saw like the interviews after he was drafted, was like, "Oh, I was so stoked because this is how I play football. I play football like the Niners play football. I love to hit. I love to block. I want to be out there playing this kind of bully ball. This is my kind of football." So I think they picked him because he exactly fits what we look for and the way we want someone to play. I did see some negatives about, his hands and things like that. But I think, if they wouldn't have picked him if they didn't think he was coachable, or those are things that they can correct. But everybody seemed to be very high on him when they picked him. Matt, to your point, every phone call they made, everybody was elated and ecstatic about picking up these guys. He's another one that they just seem to be glowing when they got to make that phone call and take him. But this is the highest drafted corner we've taken in a really long time. I forget I saw it the other day. I was like, oh, that's pretty telling right there. That we must be very high on him if we're taking him with our second pick. So I think they expect some good stuff out of him, especially with D'Lo and Demo and Shavarius Ward going to be free agents right after this year.
Yep.
So we're looking to fill the cupboard. Yeah, I think our secondary is solidified, like bringing in Renardo Green, for sure. Beto's a big Florida State guy, so he was like, he was really all about this pick. Oh, yeah. Maddie's gone too.
And then there were three.
We are rotating Wi-Fi today, everybody.
It's only allowing 4 of us at a time, apparently.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. No more than 4.
Someone's getting kicked off the island.
All right, Tony, we have you.
Welcome back.
And you're smooth. That is like crystal clear right there.
Yeah.
What a disaster.
All right, so your thoughts on Ricky Pearsall?
It's kind of like what I said earlier. He's the perfect fit for this offense. Yeah, they could have took Leggett. Yeah, they could have took another receiver. But you know what? Kyle likes guys that runs the right routes, blocks, high IQ, good hands, catch everything that comes his way. He's the type of guy that's the first one on and last one off the field, or in the weight room, whatever you want to call it. He's just one of those guys that's he's a workaholic. He knows what he needs to do to be successful, and I'm excited to see him in this offense.
And your thoughts on Renardo Green?
Well, I like Renardo Green, the cornerback, and he actually gave fits to Pearsall when they played Florida State. But I have a little bone to pick with John Lynch as far as with this selection. This was the selection where Baltimore took Rosengarten right in front of the 49ers. And after that happened, they took Green. They actually traded back with Kansas City, who took Kingsley, another tackle. And I was sitting, I'm like, what the hell are they doing? Like, they just had two tackles. And I like Rosengarten better than Kingsley because he's more athletic, more mobile. He played in his own system since he was in high school under McCaffrey's dad. So with that being said, I was like, why did they do this? And then, we talked about trading up 2 fifth-rounders to grab a running back. Now, is that because the 49ers got caught with their hands sitting on their hands and not being aggressive to take Rosengartner, or was it something totally different? But I honestly feel if they would have grabbed Rosengartner, I think people would be saying a lot different things about this draft. I think everyone's so fixated on adding a tackle. I mean, in my opinion, that was the tackle to add in this draft. Him, Blake Fisher, a couple of the guys. But as far as Green, the questions you asked me, I like Green. He's a great corner. He's a press man corner. So I'm really looking to see if there's going to be a scheme change on the defense.
Ty?
Yeah, I like that. PBUs is the name of the game. PBUs. Everybody focuses on INTs, but deny the man from catching the ball. And that's what Green does well. Gets the set around, breaks up the pass, very aggressive. That's the kind of thing we like to see. You know, when 49ers go to press man and you see Ward and Demo locking things down, you're like, yeah, that's the defense we want to see. But we were missing a third guy who can get that done. Well, here's a third guy who can get it done. And like I said, we brought in a lot of free agents to compete, and he may not contribute this year, but somewhere down the line, we're going to see him on the field a lot, and we know we won't miss a beat. So I'm real pleased with the pick.
Jess, if I could just add one thing, you're talking about a guy who's versatile. He could play inside, outside. He could even play free safety. He played, I think, a year and a half in Florida State. That's a shame. I should know this because I'm a Florida State fan. I think he played a year and a half, maybe 2 years as a free safety at Florida State. So he gives you 100% versatility in that secondary, which I think this team needs. Now, could his potential spot be a free safety down the road? We don't know. But he does offer that versatility.
Okay. Maddie?
Mirror everything everybody else said. Only thing I'm concerned about, and something that, you know, we've had to deal with the secondary at times. A lot of scouting reports say he's kind of handsy and doesn't get his head around quick enough at times. I think we've seen that entirely too many times on third, fourth, and longs, or anything really, any play over 25 to 30 yards, it seems like. So hopefully that can be coached out of him. And, you know, hopefully he's not somebody that's got to get a hell of a lot of playing time this year, right? Hopefully he gets to learn a lot this year. But he's coming from a place where they recruit good football players. Like I said, he's going to be part of that Florida State team that has a chip on his shoulder. And I feel like they're going to have a chip on their shoulder their whole career because of what happened that year. So good pick, good value pick, especially at the end of round 2. Also, shout out to keeping your round 2 pick. Way to go.
All right, round 3. We didn't select a running back. At pick 86, we selected Dominic Puni, guard out of Kansas. We got our own Big Dom.
Big Dom.
Tony, go ahead.
My question with this pick, I like him, don't get me wrong. Why aren't they going to give him an opportunity to play right tackle? I just don't understand it. Why won't they give him a chance to compete with McKivitz to play that right tackle spot? As far as, like, you know, the new trend with the 49ers in their draft room, they're going for 100% athletes. All these guys time well in their 40s, their 3 cones, their 10-yard splits. So they're going for the guys that can get out and move if they have to pull, or get down to the second level and block off a backside, or even lead out, like, you know, letting their man in front of them blow up field and just go downfield and start leading and like blocking people at the second and third level of the defense. He is extremely versatile. He took snaps at the Senior Bowl as a center. He took right guard, left tackle, right tackle, all across the board he played. So, I mean, my real one question would be, why are they not giving him a chance at right tackle? But listen, if they feel he can take the right guard spot and battle with Feliciano, or Feliciano battles with Brendel to take the center spot, you know, it's competition, and that's what you want in the middle of that defense. But this is also a draft pick that's going to prep for 2025. Aaron Banks is a free agent. Feliciano is a free agent. I think there's a team opt-out for Brendel. So there's moving pieces, and they're just adding pieces to answer the moving pieces coming up next year. and versatile players in this draft.
Ty.
Yeah, this dude's a wall. He is just a wall. You can't get by him. You don't get around him. You don't go through him. He is a wall. And I think we've been looking for that on the offensive line for a while, right? Instead of these just big maulers that come through and are great in the run game, but kind of meh in the passing game. Well, he's the opposite. And what we all say, what we've all been saying is we got to protect Brock. It's all about protecting Brock. Well, this is like that first new young piece to that puzzle. So I like it. And I would like to see more picks like this in the future. Like get some guys who are better pass protectors than run protectors to keep our young quarterback healthy for the long haul.
Yes, I believe he can, Sin.
Yeah,
He won't just not look at him. I tell you that much.
that's for sure.
He'll at least
Sin
get
asked-
away,
Sin
triple.
asked if Dominic Cooney can stop Chris Jones from taking our lunch money in the Super Bowl.
Jesus, I hope somebody can at some point. I'm about sick of that guy.
He did it twice in the regular season too.
Go, Becca.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with Tony about the versatility and the need to be able to have guys that can plug and play. We talk about this all the time that, you know, when somebody goes out on our starting line, that it is a big drop off for us, and we don't have the guys that can move around and be able to plug in and play effectively, you know, in the backup roles. So to have a guy who plays well in all of those positions and we can move guys around, the starters around who have that versatility, I think that just, you know, lends itself to building up the the line and protecting Brock. Exactly what you said, Ty. You know, that's exactly what they're looking at is how do we fortify the line and keep it a top tier line, no matter who's playing what position, and we don't lose that fidelity that we need when, you know, someone does go down. So, I mean, I like the pick. I think it's something that, you know, it's maybe not a sexy pick, but hey, if it's effective and he's not allowing any quarterback sacks or things like that. So if you run into the wall and it stops you, then hit the wall. I don't care where he plays. If you're going to hit the wall and it's not going to move, then God bless it. It's a great pick.
Go, Maddie.
The best thing, you know, every time the 49ers start drafting people, I really like to go through and read the pre-draft scouting reports, because I like to see if they matched up with, you know, what the 49ers really are trying to build, you know, in that locker room and in the community and everything else. I'm going to share something with you. Plays with good effort, consistently works to the whistle, and does not loaf. Also plays with good balance and stays off the ground. Athletic family. Sister played basketball for Illinois State and Eastern Michigan. Brothers played football for Central Missouri, one of whom signed with the Cowboys in 2018. Flaws are fixable with coaching. This is your perfect 49ers offensive lineman. I think eventually he could play tackle. I think he may play tackle often, or he might be a super guard, because another part of the scouting report says, and I quote, stays in the hunt, has good instincts, and will help out the offensive tackle if he doesn't have anybody to block. In other words, once he kicks his guy's ass, he can help whoever the offensive tackle is kick ass over on the other side, right? So there's more than one way to make an offensive line great. And I feel like the 49ers have ways to do that. And he fits perfectly in with that stuff. And he's also very athletic for his size, guys. Very, very athletic. They talk about flexibility, his hamstrings and everything else. Things that you're really looking for this offense, right? The Walshahan offense, right? Which is really what it is. It's kind of an amalgamation, you know, between the two. You can call it West Coast, but then a lot of it was developed in Denver, right? So Walshahan really seems kind of more perfect to me. but he seems like a guy that would fit in absolutely perfectly. So that when Aaron Banks eventually leaves to go sign with the Jets or whatever team takes our second contract offensive lineman because they can't develop their own, only to wash them out and have them go out and hit the market somewhere else. Dominic Puni will be the guy that goes in. Also, I know Jesse Sapalo was a huge proponent of this pick. So
Yes.
if Jesse thought this kid's going to do well, then I'm pretty sure this kid's going to do well.
All right. For those of you just joining us, welcome. We are going over the 2024 draft class. Don't forget to like and subscribe. All right. Next one. This is the first of 3 fourth-round picks. At pick 124, we have Malik Mustafa, safety from Wake Forest. Ty, go ahead.
I like this kid. He's a thumper. He's a old school downhill, will knock your block off type player. Like imagine Patrick Willis living his dream and playing safety.
Mm-hmm.
That's this kid. That's this kid. I really like this pick. If he could be that like true enforcer type on the back end, I love it. Good at reading great in the run game, good at reading the quarterback's eyes, getting to his spot. Played a little bit of nickel at times, which is very interesting when you think of the big safety look we can do on defense and have him down in the box and have Huff and Brown back there and really cause havoc on teams' offenses. That could be fun to watch. So this is a pick I'm happy about. I can't wait to see it in action in some shape or form. But and he was a 49ers fan. Like, hello, we finally drafted a kid who wasn't a Cowboys fan. Like we got one of our own in house, so that makes it even better.
Yeah, Becca.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what you said, Ty. He's went anti-Cowboy Niner fan instead of he went against the family, right? But I think he's versatile in being able to play in different roles. So. And he's a dog, so I think he's a good fit. He's hungry. They pick these kids that just seem to have good mental acuity, high athleticism, and just that hunting mindset. Like, I'm ready to go out there and tear somebody up. I want to play bully ball, and I'm going to play. I do it well already, and that's what I'm good at. So I think he'll be a good fit to come in and start to learn in the system and get out there. He might see some time, but I don't know, if maybe he's the eventual Dre Greenlaw replacement or something, but one of those guys, or if they go out, he might get some playing time in there. You see that happen with the Niners a lot. We bring these guys in and start to rotate them in, give them a little playing time. And then when someone goes down, magically they come in and they can plug and play. So I think it's a good pick. We definitely always need depth there. So I'm happy with it. I can't say otherwise. If we had to pick someone else, I'd say the same thing probably because I think the draft, again, to me, the draft is always a crapshoot. It's hopefully they pick the right mindset, the right athleticism, kids that aren't getting hurt. They're going to, be made of glass and pick up the scheme quick enough to be able to go in and make a difference. I think that's part of it too, how quickly they can learn. So we'll see.
Yeah, Tony.
I see a mix of Tony Parrish and Dante Whitner in this kid.
Ooh, look at you.
Stocky safety. And it's kind of funny because we added Brandon Staley to this staff, and Brandon Staley used Ramsey as a role. It was called the star role in his defense. And I could see this kid getting on the field quick with that role. The star role is like a tweener between a deep safety, a linebacker in the box. This kid could do it all. He could stop the run. He can come up and play the box. He could play deep. He played single high a couple times at Wake Forest versus Florida State. Again, I happened to see that he picked off friggin' Travis a couple times, and he just has a high IQ on the field. He's a great tackler. He's not going to miss, and he knows what's going on. Like, he's not like out of the loop. He knows what's going on across the field, and those are just things that I saw from him at Wake Forest, especially versus the Seminoles. And he's a solid player. He's probably one of my top 2 players in this draft for the 49ers. I think he gets on the field quick, definitely in special teams. And if he could adapt to that role as the star, or even if they go 3 safeties and a big nickel look, this could be the guy that has that role. And don't forget, Hufanga might not be ready for week 1.
Nope.
So he might get a bigger role quick. So
Exactly.
It's going to be interesting how he does and how he picks up the defense, with, Staley and who's the defensive coordinator?
Nick Sorensen.
Sorensen, yeah. With them working with him. And, it's going to be interesting because he has a very high IQ back there. He's very versatile. Another guy, versatile. That's all you hear with this draft class. Versatile, versatile, versatile. And you're going to see it with this kid this year.
Maddie.
Remember the kid from Richmond? He actually stood out. I was actually surprised he was still at Richmond, and then he ended up at Wake Forest. So I watch a lot of sub-level football because that's where Maine is. So I do see a lot of those guys, typically only for a year or 2 before they're gone, or they go somewhere like Liberty or someplace like that. But kid stood out, and here's the best thing I could find. This was the highlight of the scouting reports that I read about him. This is the highlight. Mustafa plays with his hair on fire and his energy is contagious. Do I need to say anything else to you, or is there?
So
I don't like.
That's it.
And you see that big C on the chest there, like that's the type of guy you want out in the out in the field. And here's the deal, like that swing spot right now. You talk about Hufanga, not only like he might not start the season. This might, there's going to be some turnover in that defensive backfield, and there's a lot of playing time available. And remember, a lot of the guys in the defensive backfield tend to get time on special teams first, and then kind of make their way in there as they kind of get used to the speed of the game a little bit. So I think Tony was spot on. I think you'll see him on special teams unless he has to be shoved into it. But I think you'll see him on special teams early. But I bet on the back half of the season. I bet you'll see Mustafa playing in the same situations you saw Logan Ryan playing in last postseason.
Okay. Staying in the 4th round, pick 129, Isaac Arendo, running back out of Louisville. Ty?
Yes, the running back out of Louisville. That's how you say it, people. Do not try to pronounce not one word, but the first L, one letter, but the first L. Louisville.
The S is silent.
That's how
Say
you
it
do
like
it.
you got marbles in your mouth. Is what
There
I
you
tell
perfect.
you.
There you go, Becca. Tell them again.
I grew up in the South. Say it like you got marbles in your mouth.
Louisville. Yeah.
Mouthful of marbles.
Okay. Back to Isaac. Here goes your running back number 2, folks. You wanted a running back number 2 that could actually get on the field. This is it. This is Kyle's guy. If you go back to his days in Atlanta, he always had that change of pace back that could come in and provide a spark, some speed. This guy can catch. We know about the speed, right? He's got home run speed, but he's very decisive when it runs. He sees the hole, one cut, hits it, bam. That's the zone blocking scheme right there. He can catch. He's a very good receiver out of the backfield, very good in screen game. Hello. We don't have to use CMC on screens only all the time. And what's also going to get him on the field, he can pass protect. He's not afraid to get his nose in there and take on linebackers and linemen and help pass protect. You know that'll get you on the field more than anything. So I can see this kid being RB2 right away and making a contribution. And we haven't had a speed back like a real home run hitter since what, Matt Breida, since he left. So Bam, here you go. This is an exciting pick.
So what happens to Elijah Mitchell?
He's a lot
Before
like,
or after he goes on IR?
yeah.
Yeah,
His style is a lot like Elijah's. Yeah.
like, you know,
I'm
sorry.
not trying to be funny. Like it's happened every
No,
year.
it's true.
Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
he gets through a quarter and like, oh, his MCL, his CL, his other
Right.
CL. Like it's
Some 3-letter acronym is gone south. Yeah.
CL or SKIS. That's all I hear, right? It's one or the other. And like it's usually for a long period of time, and then we end up having Leon CMC.
Yeah.
Like, Ty made this point earlier, and fairly eloquently, not dumping things in the Potomac, but no, talking it. Hopefully, somebody got that reference. But when he was talking about, he was talking about. Oh no, I lost it. I made the reference and then it was gone. We were just talking about Garendo, talking about his special teams, his speed, all of those things. Right? He was talking about with Breida and kind of that home run hitter. You need that, right?
Sounds
we
like
thought
dog it back.
we really
Yeah.
thought that this offense was going to have a home run hitter at some point, right? Whether it was in the receiving core, whether it's in the running back core, you always kind of expect that this team is going to have that. Danny Gray was not it in the receiving core. I'm hoping that Isaac Garendo is for the running back scenario. So hopefully that is the case. And Bobby Turner seems to like him, and apparently he answers Bobby Turner's text with correct answers. And he also answers, which apparently is super important. You answer Bobby Turner's text in a proper time frame. Now,
Yep.
I don't know if that means instantly. I don't know if that means within the hour. I'm not sure. But whatever it is appreciated by Bobby Turner. And if Bobby
doing it
Turner
right.
likes it, then
It's
it must be
critical,
okay.
apparently.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you stole my thunder there because that seemed to be a key component of getting on board with picking him was Bobby Turner's support.
Yeah, the Bay Area media was interviewing Isaac, and Bobby Turner was immediately calling him.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tony.
If there's a pick that I'm a little worried about, it's this one. The 49ers in their history and drafting running backs high hasn't been great, especially trading 2 fifth-round picks where they've been extremely successful in drafting players to get this running back. A little weary about this. He is a very talented running back. Don't get me wrong. He's very fast. But my concern with him, again, as a Florida State fan watching Louisville and Florida State, he never was the lead guy. They split carries. I forgot the other guy's name, but they split carries. Why did this kid take the bull by the horns and be the lead back at Louisville? That's what I want to know. His speed is there. You see it. I just want to see him transition to the NFL where the holes close quicker than they do at the collegiate level. I want to see him prove the vision, the one-cut downhill running, and then the acceleration after he plants his foot and goes. As far as the pass blocking, huge, 100%, major factor for him to get on the field quick. Receiving out of the backfield, another factor. I just want to see him make that transition to the NFL from college. Because the thing that's scaring me is the lack of taking the lead at Louisville. I would just love to know why he wasn't able to do it.
Becca.
Yeah, so everybody's already kind of hit on some of the key points that I saw as well, which is, Bobby Turner was a big fan, the style, his blocking ability, and the way he plays. They seem to like his speed, his blocking. But that was the big question for me too, is that, he doesn't seem to have a lot of experience, and our running back drafting, track record isn't the greatest. So, I hope he's durable. He's a little more durable, and we don't have all the CLs, the L issues that we've seen in some of our other picks, or, we're picking the rehab guy to put him on the bench and rehab him for a few years. So, hopefully he's durable. He's a quality guy that can be coached up. They must have thought that, or they wouldn't have picked him. So, we can all only be hopeful that he has some good flashes out there and that he does become the quick RB2. Love that for us, that we have a solid, stout, healthy, fast, speedy guy that can take some pressure off of Christian McCaffrey. But I do think there's a lot to be seen there. But, again, to me, the draft is always a crapshoot. So hopefully
You never know.
we chose well.
I'm going to get you a shirt made that says that, Becca.
Yeah.
The draft is a crapshoot.
The draft is only a crapshoot.
Absolutely.
For those of you just joining us, we are discussing the 49ers draft picks. And while you're here, don't forget to like, and if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. Maddie, were you going to say something?
Yeah, to piggyback off of his point with Garendo, yeah, he didn't get lead back opportunities, but I'm kind of excited about that, right? Sometimes that could have been offensive flow. Sometimes that could be a coaching thing, right? Somebody recruited the dude ahead of him and just liked him. Remember, Tom Brady didn't start a lot of games his senior year in college. Drew Henson got some of the starts too, right? Like, just weird shit happens in college, and it really doesn't make a lot of sense. So if this guy's not a lead back now, or wasn't a lead back in college, like, we're not asking him to be a lead back here. Really.
He ain't being a lead back with us.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if he's a change of pace back and he can get you 5 to 10 touches, if he can get you 5 touches a game, right? Because that's probably in a good, like, one of those Rams, like, we're just gonna run all over you and make you cry sort of game plans. Like, he would probably have like a max of 5 carries, right? So specifically this year. So as you said, as long as he can learn how to pass block, he has a future doing other things, and maybe doing a couple of other things. It would be great. Christian McCaffrey's not going to be here forever either. It'd be nice to eventually have somebody who could be a solid third down back in the system, as opposed to having to run all 3 downs and wear yourself completely out. So a lot of miles left on those legs. I think that's what I'm excited about.
All right. Our final 4th round pick 135, Jacob Cowing, wide receiver from Arizona. Ty?
Small guy, reminds me of the Moss brothers, Santana and Sonoris Moss. Guy with speed, good route running. It's funny. I just remembered a few weeks ago, me and Brian Colt sat here and we debated, what would you rather have in this offense? A guy like a Debo who you just give the ball to and say, hey, do what you can, or a route runner? A guy who can get open at any time, catch a ball, and go. And you look at what we drafted here. Round 1, route runner.
Mm-hmm.
A guy who's going to beat coverage, knows what to do in zone, be open, catch a ball. Here in round 4, another route runner. A guy who can get open, catch a ball, and go. It's like you see what Kyle wants in this offense. He's looking for route runners, guys that are going to be where they're going to be, get open, and let Brock just cook. This is what I'm talking about. So, Jacob, I can easily see him contributing immediately in the return game. He's got instincts there, can play there, and he's another like true slot receiver. Small in demeanor, but with his route running, can get open, catch the ball, get us some yards. So I see the vision what Kyle is doing, so I'm on board with it. That's right, Terra Dome, Santana Moss, and Sonoris from the U.
Yeah, Becca.
Yeah, everything I saw about him was that he had a lot of quickness and agility and was great in the slot and a big threat with the run after the catch. So, we like that kind of player in our system. Just that, he seemed to be versatile and quick. And I think those are all the things that we like to have in our receivers. So, if he fits that mold and we can do something with that, maybe special teams or something too with him. I'm not sure, but I don't see any downside to having someone like him, especially, if he's healthy and able to come in and start to backfill and add some versatility there.
Tony?
Kyle Shanahan just got his Taylor Gabriel, and that's all it comes down to.
See, that's what I referenced earlier. Like that crew he had in Atlanta. You can see what he's doing here. Tell him, Tony.
He's starting to transition. The 49ers are starting to transition to potentially life after Debo, going with more 11 personnel, which is 1 back, 1 tight end, 3 wide receivers. We could potentially, 2025, 2026, be looking at a combination of Ayuk, Pearsall, maybe Jennings, and Cowling. Okay, you brought in 2 route runners. Ayuk's a route runner. Jennings, not that great of a route runner, but he knows how to create separation. He can high point the ball. He can make big plays in big situations in games. So, in my honest opinion, I think you're starting to see the evolution of the new 49er offense with in mind of paying Brock Purdy going into the future. So, and it's good because you can't stay the same every year because people will pick up on your tendencies.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, coordinators do that. So you have to change. You have to evolve. And I think this is the phase that they're going to start going towards what he ran in Atlanta. Might not be exactly the same, but you're going to see route runners, personnel groupings that could be a little bit different than what they were with Debo, Ayuk, and Jennings here. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, are we going to see it next year? Maybe not because Debo's here and Ayuk is here. Is it going to be more curtailed to 25? Maybe. So we'll see.
Maddie?
His high-end comp is Tank Dell. If he comes close to that, I will be thrilled. Thrilled. So
Take that in
thrilled.
a heartbeat.
Right? And we won't have him block on the goal line. So that would be kind of a scenario there. But again, another C on the jersey, right? Another captain. Clearly was liked by his teammates. Did read some things about inconsistent hands. Last thing we need is a dropsy Dave, on the team. So get that together. Get on the drugs machine. Call Jerry Rice. I don't give a rat's ass what you do, but don't bring that shit here. That's all I've got for that. But for what to piggyback off of Tony again, this is we talked about this weeks ago. They're preparing for the Brock Purdy contract, which is coming, right? So they're starting to move a lot of pieces into place. But it's not just that they're preparing for the contract; they're preparing for him to be here long term, right? They have found their dream home, and they're finally calling the guy to put in the indoor pool, right? They're finally going to get a dog. They're finally going to get a second dog so that the first dog has someone to play with, and you're going to put a fence out in the backyard, right? This is your forever home, right? Well, forever in the NFL is kind of subjective, obviously.
Yeah.
But for now, this is like Brock Purdy is their forever home. They're getting ready to commit. So look a lot at those Atlanta offenses from when Matt Ryan was there. Look a lot at those, you're going to see a lot of cool things start to evolve on this team because Kyle's going to be able to get into the real nuts, bolts, depths of things because it's going to get to a point where Purdy's going to be able to coach it as much as he QBs it because of the way that Kyle does that system. Like he's going to have to learn and know and understand and get it. So it's just going to continue to unlock more and more and more of it. And now you've got young guys that can develop with him while learning from behind Brandon Ayuk and having a solid offensive line there. And also not having a defense that's going to allow, 97 points a game most of the time. So just another solid round 4 pick. And it was good to have those round 4s after getting screwed out of the round 5 over a $10,000 accounting error. So it's fine though. You can pump in sound effects. No one gives a rat's ass. No one cares. It's fine.
I like the Arizona connection, the state of Arizona connection between Cowing, Ricky Pearsall, Brock Purdy,
Brock Purdy.
Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, yeah.
Moving on to round 6, pick 215, Jared Kingston from USC. Patty?
Another depth offensive. He apparently worked, one of those West Coast guys. Liked what they saw, workout wise. Liked what they heard about him from the coaching staff over there. I don't think he's going to have to play a hell of a lot this year, but can do some things, right? So if he takes one of those Aaron Banks redshirt years, you know what I mean, and comes in year 2 ready to go, we're going to be happy. There's going to be a lot of new faces on that offensive line next year, and there's a very good possibility that I meant year after next, 2025. So there's a very good possibility that Mr. Kingston is a part of that little wave of protecting Brock Purdy. And again, protecting Brock Purdy, right? Like offensive line, wide receiver, right? And you got a running back in there. And that's at 8 picks. So you went 5 and 3 offense to defense. So that's not going to happen every year. But when you're always thinking ahead like that, that's going to allow a guy like Brock Purdy to continue to grow and grow each year, and allow him to want to continue to do contract extensions that will allow you to be able to continue to bring in guys that keep you at the top of the league.
Tony?
Versatility. Athlete and versatility. That's what this guy screams. Transferred in from Washington State, played 2 years there as a starting left tackle, played well, transferred to USC, went to a team that the defense did nothing for them and hung their offense out to dry numerous times. Played guard, played some tackle at USC. So he gives you 100% versatility, right, left guard, right, left tackle. There's some talk potentially about getting him some work at center. I don't know why they're obsessed with giving everybody work at center when they, signed an undrafted free agent who was probably one of the top centers in the country. So my thing is this: get him on the field. Let's see what he could do. He might need a year, a full off season in the weight room to gain strength. But clearly the reason why this guy was drafted is because he's one hell of an athlete and he's very versatile. And that's what seems what the 49ers are going after now with their offensive line.
So I have a fun fact about Jacob Cowing. He named his son after another Arizona product, Chase Lucas.
Yeah.
Who we signed. So I think that's kind of cool. And now they're
Cool.
teammates.
Yeah, I saw that today. Yeah.
That's cute.
Becca?
Yeah, the thing that I saw in this pick is exactly what Tony said. Versatility. He's played all the positions. He can play inside. He can play outside. They're asking if he has any experience at center and potentially gonna try him out there too. So it just feels like they want, these guys that have a lot of the Swiss Army knife types. They can plug and play anywhere they need to, depending on the moving parts as we start to see contracts come and go in the next couple of years. So yeah, I saw that as versatility when I read up on him. It's like just another guy that's going to be able to come in and fill a void that we're going to have as these, players depart or potentially re-sign or whatever holes and gaps we have with injuries. He's a guy that can step up and take a role.
I believe he's also one that has not let up a sack as well.
Yeah, I believe you're right. Yeah, I think that was something.
Ty?
Awesome.
You can skip me. I know nothing about this dude. Absolutely nothing. I was like, who? I don't know nothing about him. I'm learning from you guys. So thank you.
Okay. All right. So last but certainly not least, we go to round 7, pick 251. Tatum Bethune, linebacker from Florida State.
That's
Ty?
Tony's guy. Start off with Tony.
Oh, Tony?
Yes, Florida State. Let the Florida State guy go.
Yeah.
Do we all learn?
He's a solid linebacker, man. He transferred in. I think he transferred in from Wake Forest, if I'm correct.
Central
to
Florida.
Central Florida from one of those from into Florida State. The funny thing about him, quarterbacks that face him in pass concepts that he is in coverage have a very low passing rating. I don't have all my stuff that I wrote down because I'm on vacation, but I think he was like in the low 50s in the completion percentage while he's in coverage. But the flip side of this, which is kind of odd, is he's a 4.68 40. So that tells me he's 100% extremely instinctive, knows his assignments, and is a film junkie and knows what's coming week in and week out. So that's a major plus. We wish he had the better 40 time so he could be maybe on the field faster or sooner than later. But this guy will make his name on special teams. And it's also going to come down to this, right? Again, prepping for Brock Purdy. You have a Demetrius Flanagan-Foles who's on a one-year deal, just a little north of $1 million. It's going to be down to him and Bethune for that probably final linebacker spot. And don't be surprised if the 49ers go with the cheaper guy who's on a cost control contract for 4 years.
Yeah.
Because remember, this is where the business side comes into this. He
won't even count against the cap.
Exactly. You need guys there for under a controlled salary for 4 years. That is 100% what the 49ers need now. That middle tier of this roster needs to be filled with guys on 4-year deals, rookies, undrafted free agents, low-tier free agents that's not costing an abundance of money. And this draft class says it all. You look at Pearsall, you look at Green, you look at Pooney, Mustafa, you look at Guerrero, Cowing, Kingston, and now him. These are all guys being prepped for 2025 going forward on cap cost controlled contracts. So now they can really start tweaking the numbers for Purdy. If they choose to sign Ayuk to an extension, and if they choose to move on from Devo, that's when the ball is going to get rolling and the contract will get done for Purdy. And then the 49ers will be able to really create this roster around Purdy once those moves are made. But he's a hell of a player. He's a hell of a linebacker. And to be honest with you, when they called him and did that video, the phone call, he truly wanted to be here, and he was very happy to be here. And I'm for it, and I hope he makes this 53.
Well, I read he and Johnny Holland connected very well. And he really thought he was going to end up on the 49ers because of how well he and Johnny Holland, seemed to click. So I think that may have played into it too. His personality and Johnny Holland meshed well, apparently.
Maddie?
This guy's going to absolutely rock out on special teams for his first year at least. Even if this dude just becomes like a legend special teams wise and he doesn't do anything else, this is a really good pick in round 7, right? At selection 251. So, but he's smart, comes from a good football factory, probably a number 2 linebacker just because of his speed. You got to think more. He's more Jack Reynolds, like he's got the pencil behind his ear. He's watching that film. He's going to know some things. But there's still some things, if that stuff gets coached into him, which, if he wants to work for Johnny Holland will probably coach that stuff into him. He has a chance to do some Azeez Al-Shire type shit, right? But in the meantime, if he's Oren Burks, Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, or is just a really good special teamer moving forward, totally cool with that in round 7. So I'll be rooting for him. I'll be rooting for every one of these guys because you want this team to hit on every one of the draft picks.
Yep.
It's tough. It doesn't happen very often. Some drafts are better than others, but man, I want every one of these guys to absolutely hit.
Ty, what do you think?
Another 5th-year senior. So he's got some maturity to him, stayed in school to hone his craft.
Yeah.
Really wanted to be here, which is a great plus. So he's coming in with a great attitude and he'll have a great work ethic. And speaking of that, what Tony mentioned, this kid is a film junkie. He likes to study football. He likes to study his opponents. I was reading that, he's so smart. He could play middle linebacker in the league. Well, that's a good thing, right? Sheesh. We need a guy who would do that. So I'm high on it. I'm I can see him easily making his team, be his connection with Johnny, how they clicked. You know, he's going to work hard, play special teams. He'll be out there busting his hump. And that backup linebacker role, I can see him pushing the guys in front of him. Like, hey, I'm here. So this is going to be a fun offseason, a fun training camp to watch.
Okay, now I have one last question before we go. Between the free agency additions, now we're past the draft. Did we get better?
Yeah, we did.
I agree with
yeah.
Ty. I think we did.
We did. Most definitely. I think we just even before the draft, we talked about this on prior shows, how, and even Tony, we talked about it when Tony was here, how the 49ers not only like added a missing starter piece, but they also added some excellent depth behind the starters, right? So we got good depth there now. And that was a big thing that was missing from last season. The quality of the depth just wasn't there. So you have that now. Now you're infused with this rookie class who these guys have. They have some good looking potential. And if they could come in and like Pearsall could get with BA and be a mini BA, what? Like, so I think we're better across the board. Yeah.
Just
Maddie?
a fun fact about Pearsall,
Okay.
they were teammates at Arizona State at one point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So just a shout out to what's his name? Who the hell was the coach at that team at
Herm
Arizona
Edwards.
State?
Herm
Herm
Edwards.
Edwards putting that recruiting class together of BA,
Yeah.
Pearsall, and Jaden Daniels, the quarterback. Because they were all there together.
Yeah.
So
How the hell did they not win anything? That is concerning to me. Like, what?
Crazy.
It's crazy.
Is that on Herm or on them? I mean, come on.
You play to win the game. So I don't know. That's what I was heard.
Well, forget about them being teammates. Pearsall and Ayuk worked out together a few weeks ago.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They literally worked out together. So you know they're going to just ramp it up a notch now. So here we go.
Bring your playbook, right? Like at the end of the day,
Mhm.
hey, when you show up today, bring your playbook too. Okay.
Yep.
And then
We're
one of
really
these
going to
days,
get into it.
and guess what's going to happen guess what you're going to start seeing happening real soon? Brock Purdy throwing bombs to these guys and like quiet, like in other places and stuff like that. You know, in the workouts, you know what I mean? You might not see it in, you know, OTAs and things of that nature right now, but I bet you see it in private workouts and things of that nature. I really don't, you know, when Ty mentions what he mentioned, and to kind of answer your question, just yes, I do think we're better. I think we're deeper. I think we're a little bit younger. I think we're a little more flexible. I think the defensive line got better. I think they raised the quality of that a little bit. I also think they changed the attitude of that defense a little bit. Made it a little bit more aggressive and a little less reactionary, right? I think that's probably what happened. And I think that's just a natural reaction. I don't blame that on Steve Wilkes. I just blame that on the fact that they brought in an outside guy to come in and coach the defense. Particularly if they had already, it feels like they'd kind of already made up their mind that they had a set plan and what they wanted to do a defensive coordinator. And it was almost like they hired Steve Wilkes as like a panic hire after DeMeco Ryans got let go, or DeMeco Ryans, you know, took off for Houston. Still doesn't, it just doesn't, it didn't seem, it seemed like kind of an odd fit from the beginning, and then it turned into an even odder fit. You know what I mean? So, that stuff's going to be good. You get two guys working at that now. One who, you know, had a really good season as a defensive coordinator in 2020. Take all of the ridiculous that happened with the Chargers aside. He had a really good year in 2020 under some absolutely wild ass circumstances. So for him to be able to help oversee that, for Sorensen to be able to kind of take things next level and maybe, you know, come from that Saleh Ryans playbook, you know, I think they've gotten better pretty much all year. You know, Moody's going to have another year of experience, right? We went through last year, the rookie kicker. You know, you're not going to see that anymore. The kickers get better each year. You know what I mean? They actually go to these stadiums and they kick in them and they get to learn. You know what I mean? So I think Josh Dobbs is the best backup we've had in a very, very, very long time, probably since Steve Young was here. So pretty cool. Well, maybe Colin Kaepernick. Okay, we could probably tie between those two.
Back up than
But
Brock Purdy.
I'm talking about direct backup, like number 2. Purdy was number
Brock
3.
Purdy was number 2.
Oh, that's right. Damn it. All right, so I guess Brock Purdy. All right.
Jose, there you go.
I was trying to think of
He
like
was
the post the
technically
pre-Brock
a
Purdy
3,
era.
then the 2 got hurt.
Or maybe, you know what? Jimmy
He was 3
Garoppolo was
for
the
1
backup to
week
Trey
and
Lance.
2 for
Okay,
10 weeks.
all right.
He was
let's
math.
he was too forced into it too. Yeah. But it
So what
wasn't
we're
like-
saying is I was
he
being a
was-
hair dramatic, and at the end of the day, Josh Dobbs is really just better than Sam Darnold, and we can all agree on that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll
Yeah.
take that.
All
I'll
right,
give
fair
you that one.
And I would love to see what that dude can do in this system, right? Like I saw what he was able to do in Minnesota last year, and you know,
Just,
you guys
just
get
thrown
to,
out there in like
Yeah,
a few
you get-
days.
Yeah, like he didn't even get the same sort of level of prep that Nick Mullins had, you know, who knew the
You know?
system and the
Right.
and the stuff, right? So it's this is a better team. And if you compare it to the other teams in the conference, which teams get better? You know, at the end of the day, did Philadelphia or Detroit or Dallas get better? Did Green Bay get better? And did they get better enough to be better than us?
Are we still the team to beat in the NFC?
I think, yeah.
Until
Yeah.
something happens otherwise.
They hate us because they ain't us.
Exactly. We
We're
have
the team
all
to
of our
beat.
offensive like key number 1 guys all back. So
Well, I know that. I'm just
Yeah.
saying because all I've been hearing is that the Lions and the Eagles got way better than we did.
I don't know how the Eagles did. The Eagles did have a really good draft, but they drafted a bunch of young guys. That's not a win now move.
doesn't
And
translate to now, right? Exactly.
there's one
point.
other thing we really, really, really need to go back to with the Eagles last year. Like, what happened to them at the end of the year? Was it really just coaching? Because if that's the case, guess who's still there? The head coach. Or did their quarterback regress? Or did the league catch up on the tape? You know, we watched that as a quarterback here when that awesome dual threat quarterback took over and ran roughshod through the league for about, you know, a full season and a half, 2 seasons. And then all of a sudden you get a little tape on it, and some places are, you know, league catches up a little bit. League catch up a little bit. They kind of got away from the run in that aspect too. So is Green Bay going to make that next step forward, or is the fact that they have like 5 number 3 receivers going to catch them in the ass at some point? Like, I don't know. You know, they just go with depth. That's just what they do, you know.
5 threes equal 1 somehow.
5 threes equal a 1 in some scenario, right? I guess that's how that works.
That's that new
So-
Common Core math.
And
It's
Detroit
like how
signed
4-3 equals 2 in baseball,
right.
right?
There you go.
Detroit signed most of their own guys. Was there anybody in free agency that they signed? You're like, you know, they lost Josh Reynolds. I think they grabbed a receiver. Like, you know, is Jared Goff still the quarterback? Yes, last I checked. So no, they're not better than us. Okay. And Dallas is all in, and they went back to the future and got Ezekiel Elliott. So
That was their big move.
oh, and they kept Eric Kendricks from coming here, which will probably end up
Yes.
being a blessing in
Ooh.
disguise. So
Probably.
I mean, if that's all in, then you know, sign me up for that Texas Hold'em poker tournament. So I'm there.
All right. So with that being said, let's go to our hurry up offense and the 2-minute warning.
Damn.
Yeah, Becca.
I mean, gosh, I got nothing. Hey, the draft is over. Any surprises or all surprises? It's it's never as you know my you're getting the shirt. It never goes the way you think it's going to go. The Niners see things; they're looking for things that we're not, and you play the games with the draft crushes and all that. But hey, hopefully our guys land. They land well, and we pick the right people. And we'll talk more about it as the season goes on. Go Niners.
Rookie minicamp is coming up. OTAs the end of the month. Guys, just enjoy the ride, as I always say. You know, hopefully BA will be extended sooner rather than later. And go Niners.
That's
That's
my handle on all my socials, people. I just want you to help me understand how the price of a receiver, name any receiver you want, goes from a top 10 pick to a middle round pick to a second round pick, like that. But the insiders and expert reporters know exactly what's going on. Just send me a message to how that works
Hit me up.
and why we should be listening to them. Do that for me, please. See ya.
Tony.
Fuck, I'm dying over here. No, listen, you can't win a championship in April. You don't win championships in April. You just look to build a foundation to go win a championship. But listen, they added a couple pieces, a couple really nice pieces that I think that can contribute this year. I also think that they added a couple pieces in undrafted free agency that could make noise on a roster this year. So going forward with that, their plan is going as planned. They're prepping for Purdy, like we said, and it's only gonna go up. I think they know what they're doing. I think they have a strong belief in each other, and I think this offense, I think this team is gonna make a run this year. They lost Eric Armstead, but they backfilled them with a ton of talented defensive linemen. The depth on this team improved, so there's a lot of positives. And I can't wait to see them on the field.
Maddie.
We're so close to this off season like being over, right? Like, I know it's crazy, but now that the draft is done, everything is just kind of OTAs, learn the system. Light your candle, shake your dirt, whatever it is that you do, that Brandon Ayuk signs that contract extension sooner rather than later. Let us not have him miss a single second, ounce, moment, iota of time for camp. Everybody needs to be on the same page and know exactly what's going on. Heard a great story on the draft about how when the Patriots drafted Randy Moss, after he got to Foxborough, they were expecting him to go home. He said, I want to watch film and I want the playbook because I want to know exactly what's going on the first day of OTAs so that Tom doesn't have to wait on me. I want everybody to have that exact same level and consistency.
I mean, when they
and
traded for
Brock Purdy. When they traded for him, right? Like,
okay.
When they traded for him, he wanted that. He wanted it right there. So the first day of OTAs, they're all on the same page. I want that same level and desire from everybody else for Brock Purdy. Team should be fine. So hopefully Brandon Ayuk can avoid the training camp delay.
Yes.
Yep. All right. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to our viewers. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And we will see you next week. Go Niners.
Yeah. Thanks,
Go
Tony,
Niners.
for coming on.
Yeah. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Tony. Enjoy vacation.
Yes, enjoy
Thanks.
your vacation.
Thanks for having me.
And of course, for the upstart 49ers, they're 6 yards away from Pontiac. 3rd and 3.
We'll see a pickup sometime on the right side, possibly.
Montana looking, throwing in the end zone.